Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to the Prince of Persia General Q&A. We're going to begin with, I'd like you to briefly introduce yourself and your role in the project.
Sure. Well, first, hello, everybody. Thanks a lot for coming to hear me talk today. My name is Ben Mattis. I am the producer on the next Prince of Persia.
Now, one thing that everybody wants to know since yesterday is what platforms is this game going to be released on?
Prince of Persia is coming out on the 360, PlayStation 3, and PC for this holiday season. There is a complimentary Prince of Persia experience on the Nintendo DS, and you'll learn more about that at E3 this year.
Okay, well, we look forward to that. Something that's always been really important in the Prince of Persia franchise in general has been a really intriguing, a really profound story. Can you tell us about the story in this new Prince of Persia?
Yeah, sure. I actually really like talking about the story of this game because I think it's a really good one. It's funny, I mean, the core principles of it are very kind of traditional. I mean, good versus evil, humanity versus gods, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the information that we've sort of given regarding the story, people seem to think that's the story. It's Prince versus a god and that's it. But that's really just a backdrop. I mean, in the mythology that we're creating for this universe, we have two sort of principal gods who are brothers. Ahriman, who's the god of chaos, the god of corruption, the devil, if you will, and his brother Armuzd, who fought this sort of epic celestial battle like back in the past millennia ago. And Armuzd, the god of light, won. He won that fight, and he imprisoned Ahriman in the Tree of Life. And then he took all of his lieutenants, who are human, and he created this walled garden for them, this oasis in the middle of a desert, a magical garden, and he said, all right, you will live here forever. Your children, your children's children, this is your role, is to live in this oasis and to guard the Tree of Life. Do not let Ahriman escape, ever. And then he disappears. And he says, okay, bye humanity, see ya, I'm, gonna go and do something else. And then, 200 generations pass, and these Ahura, these defenders of the Tree of Life, they start to, lose faith, or they start to die out, or whatever, and only a few of them are left. And Elika, whom I'll be talking a lot more about, is one of them. So suddenly, into this sort of, celestial canvas, if you will, stumbles our hero, the prince. And he has no idea what he's getting into. He's not looking for this adventure. He literally is sucked into it by this mystical sandstorm that basically starts the game. And so thrown into this sort of, this oasis is our hero. He encounters Elika, and Elika is being chased by human guards. And she says, help me, you've got to help me, these guards are chasing me, I need your help. So the prince, being a, red-blooded young man who's being asked for help by this beautiful, gorgeous woman, says, well, sure, young lady, I'll happily oblige. And off they go. But within minutes, they run into the center of this oasis, and they see the gigantic Tree of Life. Again, the prison I talked about earlier that was imprisoning Ahriman. And of course, something happens. And of course, the Tree of Life comes down, and of course, Ahriman escapes. So suddenly, the quest that is put before the player in the shoes of the prince is all the corruption and evil that makes up Ahriman has spread throughout this oasis and infected it and driven all of the light and life out of this walled garden. And if the prince and Elika do not succeed in eliminating that corruption, it will eventually spread outside of the confines of this walled garden and spread over the whole world. So literally, the fate of the world is on the prince's shoulders. He has to drive all the corruption out of this walled garden, this oasis, systematically in order to force Ahriman back into the Tree of Life. And that's the story. That's the canvas that you are sort of set in front of you when you first kind of start the game. And as the game progresses, of course, you learn a lot more about the prince, who he is, Elika, who she is, and how these people react and deal with the responsibilities that is put before them. And it is that which I think is the really interesting opportunity for us to explore in this game.
That sounds incredible. Now, we all saw in the trailer that the prince has a completely new look. Can you tell us, outside of his look, his new abilities, what tricks does he have up his sleeves? What can he do now?
Well, yes, he has a new look because he is a new prince, as I said last night. This is Prince plus, if you will. It's the prince from the Sands of Time trilogy, but like even bigger and better and stronger and faster. And one of the sort of key new things about him is, you might notice he has this glove, this gauntlet. When we first started development on this game, we knew that we wanted to take the acrobatics that the previous prince could do, so run, do wall runs, jump, flip, swing off poles, that type of familiar acrobatics, and take it to the next level. Add new things that will make this prince just feel that much more of an acrobatic hero. And the thing that we decided to do was to give him an iconic item, something that you can look at and immediately identify as, okay, that's the glove that the prince wears. We really wanted something that stands out, kind of almost to have a personality of its own, that would rationalize some of these new acrobatic moves and abilities that we want to give to the prince. And an example of that is the move that we call the grip fall. If any of you played the previous Prince of Persia games, you might remember a sequence that we had in a couple of them where there's like a long sort of flag that would run down a wall, and the prince could stab the flag with a dagger and basically slide down that flag, cutting it in two in order to safely, navigate a large drop so it wouldn't kill him. And it was always kind of a cool looking sequence. It sort of felt neat, and oh yeah, that's kind of dramatic. That's a neat thing to do because you don't really get to do that very much in the rest of the game. So we really liked that, and we wanted to make that much more systemic, much more a part of the core gameplay mechanism. So with the concept of the glove, we've created this move that we call the grip fall. And effectively, any vertical surface in the game can be turned into a safe surface by the prince slamming his gloved hand, his gauntleted hand, into the wall and basically sliding down it. So where you used to, wall run, you might jump, you might miss, you might be falling and dying. It was kind of game over unless you rewound. You have this new second chance mechanism, which is maybe I can slam my gauntleted hand into the wall and grip fall down, because while the prince is grip falling, he still has complete analog control. He can move left, he can move right, he's sliding at a rate that won't kill him. So if there's a platform that you can eject to, if there's a platform you can land on, you're gonna live. And this move allows us to add a lot more sort of verticality to our maps as well. So in the previous games, generally speaking, you were kind of just on the horizontal axis, but now, thanks in part to this move, you've got a lot more vertical gameplay. So it's one of the ways that we feel we're kind of taking the prince's acrobatic abilities to a new dimension, if you will. Of course, we don't just want to use this in acrobatics. It plays a pretty big role in combat as well, but combat in general is very new for us, and how the prince fights in combat is really new. It's a very different combat system. It's not at all like the previous games. It was a very sort of conscious decision on our part to say, you know what, we want to do something new. God of War, Ninja Gaiden, Devil May Cry, they are all sort of doing a similar combat system to what we were doing with Warrior Within, and you know what? They do it better. So let them have it, because we don't want to compete in that arena anymore. We want to establish a combat system that is uniquely Prince of Persia, that people see, that they say, you know what? That's the fight system from Prince of Persia. And